All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the Wednesday Golf Show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. My guy Hoop is back with me. We're back from travel. We were just talking pre-show. Need a little bit of that recovery time after these live finals. I will say, in case it cuts out, I do have a new mic on the way. It will arrive tomorrow. So Hoopster, let me know if the mic cuts out, but I'll bring you in, man. We're going to be talking all things JDC, the fifth major, the John Deere Classic, of course, and get into it here. But what's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, huge event this week, John Deere Classic. I mean, loaded field, super pumped. No, it's definitely not the case. It's another, weaker field event, very weak field event. Cantlay withdrew, so he's one of the top names that was playing, which I don't know why the hell he was even signed up to play in this event, but he's out. And soft pricing, I guess that probably contributed to it a little bit when the highest priced guy withdraws. So we have soft pricing. And a weak field, but we'll obviously dig into it and see what we can find. And yeah, it's older you get, the longer it takes to bounce back. We hit it pretty hard all weekend. It was a lot of fun, but you pay the price, and still lingering a little bit, but we'll get there. We'll get there for sure. It was a lot of fun meeting him. Yep, good dude.
Go back to see us. Thanks to everybody for all the support. I just did the giveaway on Twitter. That was 2 SHIPIT Nation members, at least 2, if not more, but 2 for sure, got $200 a piece. We had another from the YouTube channel chats and comments that got in, and then we had 2 for the Mayo Media Network. So $1,000, the 20K min cash was still $1,000 giveaway. So we did that. Go collect. Our man Kyle was out there to see us. Lots of other, Nick was there. Some other people along the way. Obviously, DGen was with us. That was just awesome. James, his buddy Jamie, great dude. So just had a really good time. A lot of good people out there. Lots of people at the event. Got to meet with them. The sweat was fun, but we'll get into the John Deere. There is a couple questions here, though, I do want to address quick. So Anthony says, is there a tutorial for Shiptimizer? And then somebody else here said, I was wondering the same thing, JP. So just a heads up on Shiptimizer. So 2 things. 1, we just launched the MMA Shiptimizer. I'll pull it all up here in a minute or something down the road when I bring it up. But MMA Shiptimizer came out. But we will give you guys the heads up now, and we are going to have more announcement on Friday. But we will have a full Shiptimizer product price. Full launch will be happening sooner than later, but we'll let you guys all know and give you plenty of advance notice. We'll have more details in the Discord on Friday.
And just to be clear, the reason that we don't have the tutorials now, we want the product to be 100% finished exactly how we want it. And then we're going to start doing the tutorials, and it's going to be a huge part of what we do here on these shows as well, kind of walking through the process. But we don't want to kind of, put out tutorial now and then have to go back and adjust. We're going to have one solid tutorial section with everything, and it's going to be a part of what we do on these shows as well. So everyone can get a really good feel for it. And we're excited to launch it, with our DFS product as well, in unison with that. It's going to be something I think very big in this industry when you factor in the price as well, which is going to be tough for anyone to beat.
Yeah, everyone always gives you shit for that one. It's like, there's tons of optimizers. It's not what it is. Our offering is very straightforward. It's the most affordable and most valuable DFS content out there. That's what we stand by. That's what we put out there. Everyone that's in the group backs it and says that's the case. So it's not really a different product. It's how much more affordable it is for the same or better product, in our opinion, than others. So
I know I say this a lot, and people are probably like, some people might listen to it and say, oh, you're an idiot. Like, I don't believe you. But there is no doubt in my mind, and I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, we could charge a shit ton more money and make a lot more money on the business side. I know that for a fact. I've been in this industry for 12 years, playing and on the content side. I know for a fact we could charge a shit ton more money and make more money, put it right in our pockets, matter of fact. But not about that. There's a reason that we're doing what we're doing, and it's not just to make money. Like, I could make a hell of a lot more money if I wanted. We're choosing not to go that route, and that's going to continue to be our business model moving forward.
Yeah, just more value. Like I would say, just bring as much value as possible. We got more fun stuff down the pipeline. You guys know I always talk in phases. Shiptimizer was just another one. There's more phases still to come. Another quick question here. 5-Star Logistics said, did I miss the Monday First Look show with the travel? We were both coming back from the FGWC on Monday, so there was no First Look this week. We've combined it just into this one show, so we'll be going through everything here to make sure that you guys are covered. And then also, with that said, there was no Lister League either. I know a lot of people are looking around for it. I'll always post it out if I've got it. It'll always go into our Discord first, and then we'll get you, because DK has been taking care of us on it. So I always post it in there first, get as many people in as possible, and then I'll post it on X at ToeTagginTambo. Same for the tidbits. Those that ask me about the tidbits, nothing cycling through travel weeks. And, for the John Deere, there's enough out there, I think, already. Just people, everyone's on the same stuff. So we'll see what we can come up with on this show. Anything else, just let us know. If you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. But Hoop, let's get into this thing. Let's talk about it. One thing I'll say right off the top, I know a lot of people have been asking me about this, is this weather. I don't know too much about the area and how, this weather works, but it's changed like 3 or 4 times already. Every time I go pull it up, the wind is on a different day, or it's in a different direction. Rain is up or down.
Yeah, the mic. We need that new mic. Then the mic killed it. I'll take over the weather talk, though. As it looks right now, and again, this can change, and I'm not a meteorologist. As it looks right now, Thursday morning, very nice. The winds pick up a little bit Thursday afternoon. Nothing crazy, though. It looks like a high of 10 mile an hour sustained. That's not significant. Friday starts out 10 to 15 range, and then it has a chance to peak in the afternoons, gusts maybe up to like 30 miles an hour. So the worst of the weather is going to be Friday afternoon. There's no doubt about that. I think if you are trying to play this a little bit, like you probably want to go Thursday PM, Friday AM, maybe, but I don't know. Like you said, it's changed a bunch, and we kind of monitor it throughout the week, and I don't know how much of an advantage it will really end up being.
Mic check.
Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Back in action.
Yeah, we got it. All right. Well, like I said, the new mic is here tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. We'll see what it actually is, and then the next step of the troubleshooting is the cable, and then the box, and then eventually we'll just bury it all. So, all right, I like the weather breakdown. I'm good with that. If you do want to play aside, you can go that route, like you said. But as you mentioned off the top, another note, Patrick Cantlay, like you mentioned, WD'd. Cam Davis, the winner of last week, also WD'd. Taylor Montgomery, who finally showed some signs of life last week, also WD'd. So we lost all that. And then also, Hoop, 11K Tom Kim last week with a 5K range. 11K Patrick Cantlay this week. Not only does he WD down to 10.5 Jordan Spieth, but no 5K range. We're back to like 40 plus guys in the 7K range. So just thoughts on that, and then we can hop into this upper tier.
Yeah, glad they didn't do the 5K range this week, and they stopped it at 6K. Really, though, I don't think it has much of an impact on roster construction or anything. It's going to be very easy to play. The guys are going to be the same as last week, where the high-priced guys are going to get the most ownership because it's just very easy to get them in your lineup. You're not sacrificing anything to get these guys into your lineup. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably going to play out pretty similarly in terms of ownership and whatnot, where these 10K guys probably get the most just because it's very easy to get them in.
I think that part is correct. I think I have a different take on the other side of it. I think last week the 7Ks exploded with ownership. I mean, not just the FGWC, but in general, because I think there is something mental about clicking the 6K range versus this week when you have 40 plus guys in the 7K and playable guys in the upper 6. I actually think we get a much more dispersed ownership from 7,900 down to, say, 6,600 or wherever people feel like the cutoff is. Last week, you could tell people just didn't want to move out of that 7K range if they didn't have to. And because there was only 19 guys in there, it was set up where guys were just blown up in ownership. Some of them were just off the chain in FGWC, like Hogard got to 40% in that, like little things along the way. So one quick note too, our guy Andrew's got us covered. DGen is doing a stream tonight. I know he's got a big announcement coming up, another bucket list item, but he will be doing a stream tonight. Said he's feeling pretty good with the bucket list item on the horizon. He's going to be around for this one to be able to do it tonight. And then also getting ready for the Open coming up here in a couple weeks as well. So be excited for that, but definitely right back here. Check that out on this channel. And he will have the weather covered, whatever it's changed to by then, and even more in depth. So Hoop, take us into this upper range here, man. We got Jordan Spieth down to Aaron Rye, finds his way up to 10K now after that huge week for him last week. But give me your thoughts on this upper range.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will be here because it's easy to be here in terms of roster construction. You can probably play two of these guys and still have salary. Yeah, if you just I plugged in the two cheapest guys in this range, Rye and Im, you still have $7,400 per spot, over $7,400. So people will play multiple of these guys up top, and that's why their ownership should be relatively high because of how easy it is to play them. In terms of how I think it shakes out, I know a lot of ownership sites have it pretty split. I think Im and Rye get the most up here. I don't know what that number is. I think it could maybe approach like 30%. Then I think Straka is probably the third. And I think people are still a little bit hesitant to play Spieth, but they will play him. I mean, he's going to get ownership because of how weak this field is. And he is I'd say he's the premier name in this field. He hasn't been playing like he's a premier golfer lately, but in this field, he's the name. So I think, Im, Rye get it the most. I think Straka gets it some because of what he won it last year, I believe. And then Jordan Spieth at 10-5 because he is the name and it's very easy. So I don't know, like for me, I feel good with Im. I feel really good with Rye. I mean, it seems like a course that should set up very well for him. He's been playing well, and now starting to see some more top-end finishes, which is nice. I mean, typically to me in the past, he's been a guy that's just like a cut maker type guy and, ceiling maybe like top 20. Now he's starting to turn in some higher-end finishes. So good with him. I'm good with Sepp Straka at 10-4. And then I will get some Spieth because I do think if somebody gets squeezed, and it might end up where nobody gets squeezed, but if people are making decisions, I think Spieth is the last guy that people want to go to because of how poorly he's been playing. I will get some exposure to him. I mean, he typically plays the tougher events. I mean, you look at 4 out of his last 5, played the PGA Championship. Charles Schwab wasn't a great one, but then the Memorial, the U.S. Open. Travelers was a signature event. Don't get me wrong, he sucked in basically all those tournaments I've just mentioned, but this is a weaker field event. We don't see him in these super weak field events. Is this a spot for him to get back on track? It could potentially. So I think he has a chance to get squeezed. But in all honesty, in my 150, I'll have exposure to all these guys.
Yeah, his course history is super old, way back in the day. His, recent form, even I was saying this today, like the courses that we thought he was going to show up at that we say, oh, but he's always showed up at this course in the past, regardless of his form. He still hasn't been showing up at those. The chat's talking about his wrist injury. People mention that. Like, I don't know what it is, but he's just not been himself. Obviously, the rule is you play Spieth when nobody else is playing him. Really, up top, they're not playing him compared to the others. And the only reason he's getting somewhere in that 10 to 15% range is what I'm seeing, at least. The reason he's getting that is because of the can't lay WD. Otherwise, he would have been squeezed to nothing. It would have been like 5% or 6%. So definitely think there's concerns. I mean, look at his form. You don't have to look at much. It's not about injury stuff. I'm not concerned about injuries ever. I'll play a guy for whatever reason, but something is going on that he literally can't make better than like a 40th. You're in that range, 37th. Like, it's not been good all season long until it is, right? So keep that in mind. In MME stuff, I know Illini fan asked you earlier, do you play less single entry contests and more 3-max and MME contests on weeks like this, Hoop? I like more MME because I just think it's going to be super lazy, super condensed. Everyone's going to decide on the exact same thing. I usually say I got the notes in the slate plan. I do, but I never really push it that hard. The roster construction thoughts in the slate plan are definitely going to have the winner in it of that type of construction. It's going to be something along those lines. Like, I just can't imagine a week where the exact chalk hits, and I got the angles covered in there. So if you want to check that out, go over to the site, shipitnation.com. But I think I like MME more because of that, Hoop, and getting some of those variations. What about you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just very difficult to pinpoint 6 specific golfers that I want to play this week. I mean, there's so much there's always volatility in PGA DFS. I mean, there always is, but in fields like this, very much, I mean, even more than usual for sure. So I want different variations of some of my favorite guys. So definitely more MME, and that really should be your I really think for PGA DFS, unless you have it solved in single entry, like depending on how much you play for, I'd always recommend coming down in stakes and playing more entries for sure, just because it is a very, very high, the variance is very, very high. The numbers back it up. So I'd always err on that side, but even more so on weeks like this.
Yeah, and I think one of the things just off the top, and then we'll go to the 9K range, is most lineups are starting Sungjae and a 9K, Sungjae Rai. I think just putting Sungjae in, just think about last week with Akshay Bhatia. He was super high owned, going to be at that price point, 9,800. But in the end, it was lineups like Min Woo with Bhatia that ended up fitting in still a Cam Davis, et cetera, and getting all those guys at the top of the leaderboard in. So one interesting way to do it would be to play Im as your second guy in. If you can't trust Spieth, it's got to be Straka. So Straka Im, I think, would be an interesting start. Let's move on. Let's go to this 9K range. You've got Mav McNeely down to Sam Stevens, who got quite the price bump from 7,200 last week. Keith Mitchell hurt my feelings, missed the cut, hurt a lot of people's feelings. And then you've got the guys that people seem to love here: Mav, Davis Thompson, Denny McCarthy, mixed in with some other guys as well. So what's your thoughts on this 9K range, Hoop?
Yeah, probably really in alignment with what you kind of just said. Like, McNeely, Thompson, McCarthy seem pretty secure. They're all like 22-1 or better to win this event. They're under 10K. I think their game set up fairly well for this course. Davis Thompson's been playing very, very solid golf. Almost, it seems like he's almost breaking out, essentially. Second at the Myrtle Beach, 17th at the Charles Schwab, missed the cut at the Canadian Open, then 27th at the Memorial, very tough tournament. 9th at the U.S. Open, obviously a very tough tournament, and then he was right there all weekend at the Rocket Mortgage, finishing T2. So all solid plays. Jason Day, is there a reason why he's playing here this week? Like, just to get back on track, or does he need it for the playoffs or something?
I don't follow that stuff enough because I don't really believe in those narratives. Obviously, they have to show up to get into certain things, but it's like every year we deal with that at the FedEx Cup playoffs. Like, oh, he's on the bubble. He needs to get in. Yeah, he's on the bubble for a reason, but he's playing. He's 9,400.
Yeah, I don't really love that, to be honest. And then Mitchell hurt our feelings, both of our feelings, in the Golf World Championship. But I'll go back to him at 92. JT Poston just seems like it's a very solid setup for him. I think he has some success here. And then Sam Stevens, it's a sticker shock for sure. Don't really like that price tag at all for Sam Stevens. I'm kind of just, if he beats me at 9K, I'm cool with it almost. So I like all the guys that most people like in this range, to be honest with you. No like super hot takes or anything.
I'm going right back to the Keith Mitchell, and I'm going to play him again. If you go back to last week, I mean, I followed him live. I know you were all over it too, looking at him. But man, this guy, the first round, gained almost 2 strokes on approach, lost half a stroke putting. In the second round, gained almost two strokes on approach, lost almost 3 strokes putting, and 15, 18, 17, those 3 to round out, or I guess in order, 15, 17, 18, were just gave up. Like, once he missed that 3-putt on 15, it was over. We watched him live on 17, hit a beautiful bunker shot, gave himself a look to just stay within that. If he would have been around, I think he would have been 5 under at that point, instead of going with on the number into the last hole at 4 under. And as soon as he missed the putt on that short one, his visor just came up. He was done for. He goes on the last hole, ends up missing a 5-footer to make par, to make the cut, and instead makes bogey and misses the cut. So I'm going right back to the well, though. Like I said, I think he's fine. If you liked him last week, I don't know what would change here. So to me, I'm fine getting him on him at 9,200, kind of like Poston down there. I think what I'm saying, and I guess looking at it now, is like everybody's on the dudes up top. So am I. Different roster constructions. I talked about one today where I think people are choosing between McNeely, Davis Thompson, and Denny, and maybe, putting some of those guys together, if not all, could be a way to get different, because it's not like you're fading Scotty Scheffler up top. Like Jordan Spieth, Sepp Straka, Sung J M, and Aaron Rai win equity. Not very much, to be honest. Straka a little bit, Im a little bit, Spieth in the past, but not too much we're talking about there. So I think you'd be fine just starting in this 9K range. And I think the lower end of like Mitchell, Poston, maybe a little bit of Day or Stevens. Like you said, Stevens is a tough click, but maybe a little bit of Day or mixing those guys up above. But I think Poston and Mitchell are the 2 that stand out for me, and just starting in this range, I'd be fine with that, because I think this 8K range is going to go a little bit overlooked. And I think there's definitely some options in here. So any further thoughts on the 9K? If not, take us into this 8K range.
Yeah, 8K, again, you're going to see sticker shock as soon as you get here. Dunlap at 8-9, but he's been playing pretty solid golf. If you look at the 10th last week, had the 12th at the Memorial, some bad stuff in between, the miscut at the U.S. Open, Travelers, tougher events. He's a guy I'm just kind of maybe liking at some of these weaker field events. I don't think he should get much ownership at 8,900. This Clanton guy at 86 continues to play well, made the cut at the U.S. Open, 10th last week. I think he's definitely an interesting play. Eric Cole, is he back? Like, I don't know. He's 3 out of the last 4. He's made the cut, had the T6 at the Rocket Mortgage, another weak field event here this week. Maybe we take a look at him. Mark Hubbard at 84. I'm always going to like him in events like this. I mean, the one disappointing part is he's making all these cuts, but like 0 high-end finishes. Even last week made the cut 52nd, but I got to be on my guy Hubbard. Like, he's a guy I always play, continues to make these cuts. Can he get hot? Seems like a spot that he could. Seamus Power, somewhat interesting. Svensson he definitely hurt me last week, but I'll go right back to him at 82. Hostler played pretty well last week, finishing 31st and, below the average spot of a roster on DK at $8,100. Had the 14th at the Canadian Open, missed a cut at the U.S. Open, but like I said, 31st last week. Moderate interest in him. So, yeah, I mean, you come to a lot of these guys, you don't love the price tags, but you're going to kind of be forced to – you just suck that up at some point, because basically every golfer you look at, you're going to look at the price tag and say, oh, man, this sucks. I don't want to click it. And then you realize that's the case with just about everyone in this field. So, I'll play some of these guys for sure. Clanton's the one I'm probably most excited about at 86. Like, is he good? Well, we'll find out. And it's a good event, I think, for him to continue to have success. So that's one that definitely stands out to me at 8,600.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the real deal. Anything we saw from him last week, he was up in the DraftKings booth on 15 at one point, even saying what's up to some guys. So, incredible stuff. Knows he's an amateur. People were sort of poking fun that the guys winning the Fantasy Golf World Championship were going to get more money than him. And, he kind of said, it's all good. I'm going to get nothing. I'm an amateur. Like, it's fine. Like, that's the way it is. He'll make plenty of money as he continues if he plays like this. So he's a guy for sure. I like Kevin Yu. He came out hot last week to get things started. Still made the cut, finished, I think, 9 under, but a couple rounds in there were really solid. So like him, he can score. Yeah, he's not going to putt every round for you, but if he makes the cut, gets rolling, has a couple of those spike rounds, that will really help you. You mentioned Eric Cole. I think he's back. Like, I definitely have more love for this range than most. Eric Cole, I think it's 7 of his last 8 rounds now are back in the 60s. He's making birdies again. Like, maybe that just was the course correction for him, and you can get back on him a little bit. Hubbard, while not really putting up the great finishes, I mean, last week, 52nd place, still scored 70 fantasy points at 7,700. At least his price kind of stays in check. If he can get you 80, 85 points at this price, I'd be fine with that. So he's interesting. Don't know about as much love for the guys at the bottom, kind of flip-flopping from what we talked about up top, but upper 7K range, I will have some love. Is there anybody else in the 8K range that you want to talk about, or anybody else there that you saw? Maybe, what did Hostler end up doing?
Yeah, he was fine. 31st. I mean, not a great finish. Started out pretty, he shot 71, 69, 66, and then sucked round 4, shot at like a 73. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, and the same point with him, it's like he's cheaper than the average roster spot on DK. I don't hate him in this field. Like, I'll have some, but I am with you. I probably prefer some of those guys in the middle to upper 8K range opposed to the bottom. I think a lot more risks the lower you go in this range.
Hostler, if he makes the cut, like the week at the RBC Canadian Open, he popped 2 66s. Last week, a 66 and a 69. Like, those are kind of what I'm thinking about. And this just can't happen. Like, will they get some more than what I don't know, like what you're thinking they're getting steam to, if you want to put numbers on it, but like the way the ownership is setting up with the top so heavy, the 9K so heavy, it's just math. Like, you can't naturally fit them in. We've even seen this be said at majors. Like, Tommy Fleetwood's 8,400, he's going to be steamed up huge, and he gets to 12 or 14%. It can't happen when everyone's playing the top. You still have to be able to afford them, and that's why ownership is key. We spend a lot of time with it over at SHIPIT Nation to make it as accurate as possible. Even those out there running sims, things like that, you want the most accurate ownership you can get. There's math. It has to add up to 600. It has to work out for the lineup constructions that are popular. So I don't see a spot where they get extremely steamed at all. And like I said, when we get to the 7K range shortly, it's going to be just a matter of there's too many guys there now that you're going to see a lot more people in that 10 to 15 than you are 15 plus. But anything else here? If not, take us into this upper 7K range. We've got 11 or 12 guys. I would say we got 15 guys that are 7,400 and up. So maybe do it that way, because then there's 25 guys, 7,300 down to 7K. Yeah,
I guess that's definitely the product of no 5K. You start to see tons of golfers come back into the 7K range. Ben Griffin at 7,900. Mixed results, I'd say, this season for sure, but I do kind of like him here. Solid odds to win. Same with Rogers. Rogers right around, I don't know, I think it was like 45 to 1 or something to win. 7,800. I typically don't like playing him, but he's been playing pretty well. Adam Schenk has not been playing pretty well, but his results here, I believe, are solid. And in this weaker field, I'll definitely take a chance on him. Lee Hodges, another guy that kind of hurt me last week. I have no problem going back to him. He battled in round 2, just fell a little bit short. Shipley, yeah, I mean, liked him last week, like him this week, similar to Clanton. I mean, made the cut at the Masters, made the cut at the U.S. Open, and played pretty well last week at the Rocket Mortgage. And I think he's good at 74, definitely in. And or wait, not 74, 75, definitely in. Putnam, Novak, Daniel Berger, another guy that was painful last week, but man, at some point he's got to get it going. I definitely have to have some take some chances on him. JJ Spawn, I don't necessarily hate at 74. So this is a range where I will have a lot of ownership. This upper sevens, I do think there's a pretty substantial drop off when you get into the low sevens when you start comparing them to the upper sevens. So I like the upper sevens quite a bit. A lot of guys in here that intrigue me for sure.
Yeah, one thing about Berger left, I think he made 10 birdies in those first 2 rounds last week. I had to go back and look because I obviously had him, but it was all the bogeys mixed in. And then it was also the setup of losing like a stroke putting on round 2. Like, again, he just could not make a short putt when needed. He went 3 over through 4 on day 1, then still battled back to get under par. Day 2 starts with another bogey or +1 through 2 or whatever it was, and then battles back a little bit and just lost a bunch of those opportunities. Go Collect thinks the same balanced approach definitely could be good. And then I saw it got mentioned, but I was about to talk about it anyway, but I'm going to squeeze Clanton and Shipley, our boy, Shipley, and say Thor is still the guy. I mean, this guy's another one. Just missed the cut last week with a 68, but the week before that at the Travelers, 64 and 66. He came in at like 40th place and still put up almost 80 points in that event. Again, you got to play the odds. He's going to be stuck right there in the middle. Everyone's going to go to the guys above, below. They're going to go to the amateurs above and below on top of that. So if you can get to Thor here, I think he's an option at 7,700. I like Griffin. I like Shank. I like Rogers. I really like that upper range there. And then Doug Gim would be the other guy. I think 7,500 gets really popular, at least somewhat popular with Putnam and Hodges, some of that. But I'll go back to the well on Berger just because he hurt me last week. JJ Spawn helped me last week in the $25 there. So there's some guys in this upper range. It's the lower 7K range that I'm not as in love with. And there's, I think, 25 guys down here who from 7K to 7,300. This is definitely a product of what we talked about. 26 golfers, including like 8 at just 7,000 alone. So give me your thoughts on this lower 7K range.
I figured you'd like that. Put Sung Jae in your lineup.
Sung Jae in, yeah. We'll see if it's maybe Sung Jae out if it's this week, but should show up in a lot of my lineups. Yes.
Yeah, pretty substantial drop off for me in terms of the talent when you come down here. Joel Damon, you just never know where he's going to be mentally, but the last couple weeks it's been solid. 10th at the Canadian Open, and then 25th last week. He's made, it looks like, 6 cuts in a row. 7,300. Moderate interest there. Justin Lauer at 72, solid last week, 25th. I don't mind taking a chance on him. Ben Silverman continues to play solid, 4 straight made cuts. Tends to do better at these weaker field events. I guess that's really all that he plays in the weaker field events, so it's easy to say that. But the last 4 have been solid: 16th, 32nd, 35th, 17th. I think he's very solid at 71. Phillips, 7,100, making cuts. Not the greatest finish last week. Started out strong, fell off a little bit, but I'd be fine with him. Moderate interest in Jake Knapp. I don't know what to really do with what Rico Hoey had a 6th place finish last week. Like, can you go back to him? I don't know. I got to look into that one. And I thought there was one more guy that I kind of liked a little bit. Maybe Hayden Springer. He had a 10th place finish last week, but really nothing before that. So maybe not a ton. Really like the upper sevens way more than the lower sevens.
Yeah, and when we get to the upper 6s, maybe that's something you could do instead there. But I think for me, it's that $7,100 range that gets me. Like, there's a lot of like Knapp, Chandler Phillips, Dylan Wu, Ben Silverman. Those guys all seem live and will probably mix into the MME pool because just I don't think as many people get down here. And I could see a lot of them be even Chan Kim just has to be able to make a putt. All these guys get, pretty low ownership here. Maybe Jake Knapp gets steamed a little bit because people are not sleeping on him anymore, as we like to say, but definitely could see those other guys come in extremely low owned. Johnny Vegas. I know somebody who was at the hotel with us last week. People saw him on the elevator.
Yeah.
first round or whatever it was. But SH Kim, another guy I could see find his way around the greens and that sort of thing. Like he's just a guy that can do that sometimes. But this is definitely going to be the way to get leverage down here. And like I said, with this 7K range having about 41 guys, there's not too many that are popping in the double digits. And most of the ones that are, we know, are at the top because that average, like you said, even if you go rye, you still have 7,400-ish remaining. So you're good to go.
Sorry, I was on mute. But yes, I agree with your statement there for sure.
Okay, I thought you had something else.
No.
I was waiting for you. Like I don't remember this. Do you? SH Kim was popular.
No, he was not popular.
I think we're still training everybody on this stuff, but like I
don't even know he played last week. Did he play?
Yeah, I don't know.
He missed the cut. He shot 72, 71. I don't think he was popular at all, to be honest. I didn't even know he was in there.
And see, Sky posts the ownership out. I'd go check it, but I don't remember that. But we'll see. I think upper 6K though, we do have some guys to talk about here. Hoop, we got 6,900. Let's go down to 66. The chat was talking earlier about Ben Coles is going to get steamed. Carson Young, Tyler Duncan, Troy Merritt again, Ryan Moore, all these guys. Anything here in this upper 6K range that excites you?
Oh, it's not the greatest. I mean, I think there are some plays here. Who did I have here? Grazerman, 6,900. Back-to-back solid finishes. Made the cut at the U.S. Open. Finished 31st last week. Patton Kizzire, 4 out of 5 made cuts. And the nice thing about Kizzire, he might be my favorite up here. One of my favorites is all those finishes. Again, weak field events. He's not playing any of the strong shit. Like he's playing in the weaker stuff. All T24 or better. And I kind of like him in general. So I think he's a play. Vince Whaley's made a lot of cuts. I guess some are on the Korn Ferry Tour, but he's made a lot of PGA Tour cuts as well. No solid finishes, but in this field, I think there's a chance. Harry Hall, 68. Troy Merritt, 6,800, 17th last week. I have no problem going back to him. That's kind of it in like this upper 6K range. And honestly, I don't have a ton in the lower either. It falls off very, very quickly. So I don't know, probably looking at 5 or 6 guys that'll play in the upper sixes and mostly shut it down at that point.
Yeah, 3.8% for SH Kim last week. So, not getting anything there. And if you want to play him, you can go ahead. Obviously, he didn't come through last week, but I think just in general, looking at stuff like that, it doesn't really matter anyway. Like what they did last week versus this is just, we're taking the recent form and running with it, but ownership wise, it's not why they make or break a cut. It's just, we're looking at it from a different angle when we're building out these lineups. I do think though, anything down here where you use 2 or more of these guys, I definitely think you're going to be extremely unique. And it just depends what you think. Like, especially if you land in that lower 7K range, you may get a pretty nice upgrade. If you feel comfortable and you're in that upper 7K range and you're good to roll, you may not need to do it. But if you're down in that lower 7 already, like what might be the difference between some of those guys in that bottom range versus going to some of these guys up top? Like you said, Patton Kizzire, if you want to take a shot, Tyler Duncan, Grazerman, Skins, Smalley, some of these guys that we have popping in our course fit rankings. Troy Merritt flowchart was brought up. I mean, that was working last week until it wasn't. What did he end up? I think it was
no, he finished all right, 17th.
Okay, it was close. So Thursday afternoon, it was funny because I was with James and he says, DGen, and he says, who cares about that? I think it was round 2 after he shot the 64. He goes, he'll still finish T24th. And he was down to like T26.
That's right. Yeah, I remember him talking about that. Yeah.
T17, but he pegged it absolutely perfect. Did you mention your boy Stanger?
Yeah, it's a tough go for Stanger. I mean, he treated us well for a while, but man, I mean, I like to be honest with our people. I mean, you got to know when to get off. He made us some money, but let me pull this up again because it's been bad, right?
Not great.
It's been very bad. Cut. 23rd at the Punta Cana, cut. I mean, the days of him getting the job done for us might be over. I mean,
for you mean?
For me, yes. No one to fold to me. I think I'm putting my cards in the middle on Stanger.
Yeah, good to have you back, Steven. We appreciate you. Always a supporter, and thank you. I think the Stanger thing was always funny because I would make fun of it, but he did come through and made some good cuts, scored well, had those strong finishes. But you have done a pretty good job always in all sports, I think, of knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, and it sort of worked out when you do it that way versus I just continue to play these guys over and over and over. And eventually when they pay off, I don't even know if I'm even on them. So
you do it with the good golfers that actually have a chance of bouncing back. I'm doing it with the shitty guys that when they're done, they're usually done.
Yeah, one other guy I wanted to bring up. I was looking up some stuff last night, and it wasn't great recently, but it's Neesmith. And some of the similar events, the course fit rankings, a couple things like that did make sense to me after I saw that, and still scored. Like he still puts up 63, 66, 65. And then you go back to like the players. He put up 82 points on that. Like looking just at DraftKings points for something like this. I just think that to me is like a guy you could find in there at 6,500 and use. So I put him in some, but not a ton of guys lower than that I like. I'm just trying to see if anybody else here pops down low. I saw Lynn Time last week. I don't think I like it. Yeah, not too much down below that I like, but I will say, like I mentioned before, if you go with two guys in this range and you're comfortable with it, you're going to be naturally different. We had some builds today that had 2 10K, 2 8K, and 2 6K. And it wasn't even the worst. It was 2 decent 6K guys that we both liked. It was when Mayo and I did the show. And the 9s and 7s just being completely skipped, I thought was a pretty unique way to do it. So for me, I think if you can get to some of these guys, take your stands, pick your spots. Last week I had JJ Spawn. He's got a price bump this week, but he was down there for me. And he got all 4 under 70, scored enough to get by, and ended up being a part of that lineup that came in 4th place in the $25 main. So I think just finding your guys down here, it's definitely something to look at. But as I said before, and I'll say again, it's not always just the made cut. It's the made cut and the scoring that goes with it. So you got to make sure of that, right? Look for some of these guys that can still make 18 to 25 birdies, and then you're really going to be in good shape. But if they're just putting up 12 birdies and making a cut, that's not going to be enough if, the rest of the week doesn't go their way. So, Jesse just brought it up. Callum Tarrant. Callum Tarrant was popping.
That was my boy for a while. I used to play him all the time, 6,300.
Yeah. So that was the other one.
Popping where?
Course fit rankings, first of all.
Okay.
Which crushed again last week.
They do crush. I mean, definitely have been crushing.
So Tarrant pops hard in those, but Tarrant's another one. Made the cut last week. Again, most people look and say, but 57th place, 75 DraftKings points, and now is 6,300. I mean, when you can put up 2 eagles, 12 birdies, not many bogeys, those pars are just one of those things. And yeah, BG Littleneck. By the way, I think I meant your boy, professional poker player. Let me know in the Discord, tag me or something after. You can mention it here, but a really good dude came by and said what's up at the tent there on the 15th hole. But that question has been asked a lot. If there's a listener league, it will always be posted out in the Discord, pinned in the channel. And then if you're not a member, that's fine too. It'll always be on my X or Twitter account, whatever you want to call it, where I put it out there to the world. So if you can't find it, because it didn't happen. So that's the case this week with the travel and whatnot, but appreciate everybody looking out for it. Yeah, Scott Hall, your boy. So yeah, really good dude, man. He said he's going away to Europe, going to be at a wedding, just chilling, enjoying that pro poker life, but good stuff for him and really nice guy. Anything else, Hoop? Any stories, anything you want to cover from the event or anything I'm missing?
Man, it was all fun. I mean, we had a blast. It was, like I said, still trying to bounce back a little bit. We had a little bit too much fun, which is never too big of a problem until the next morning. My dad always would say this, and it's so funny and so true. His grandmother lived with them, and him and his buddies would be at home partying. They'd be drinking beers, doing whatever. And she barely spoke any English at all. From on the boat from Italy, she came over and she'd be sitting back watching them party, and she'd just be going the whole time. She'd be saying, "Laugh tonight, cry tomorrow," and it's so damn true. It is so true. Like, you're having that fun tonight, tomorrow your ass is going to be crying. And I was crying for a couple of days. We're bouncing back. We're ready to get back in the saddle. I mean, one final push here to NFL, man. I mean, we're looking so forward for the next couple of months here to get this NFL thing launched and ready to go. Very excited about the product we have. But overall, it was a great weekend, man. And I had a lot of fun hanging with you and everyone I met. I mean, if you're listening and I met you, probably had a good conversation, because basically everyone I talked to, it was a delight to, chat with, interact with, and have some fun with.
Yeah.
And it is true. Yeah. It does change. And people always say that shit and pretend like it's not true. The older you get, the harder it is to bounce back. I can remember when I was in my 20s, totally fine. I'd be good to go by 10 a.m. no matter what I did the night before. Not anymore.
This was really good. Shout out to Monday, our guy. Look at this one. Hoop needs a Seamus power nap. Needs a power nap for sure. But
I'm good now. I'm good now. And the thing, the tough part for me is had my 40th birthday literally the day after, or the day I got back, essentially. The day I get back, I got my 40th birthday. So it kept going. It's been it was a long week for your boy.
That's what happened to me because Canada Day and celebrating your birthday from afar. So I had to keep it going. You got that birthday and now you get a mini break until tomorrow. You got 4th of July celebrations. I know everybody out there probably going to have a good time. Hope everybody stays safe, but has fun, of course. And then before we get out of here, I do want to show this. I'll read it off. I was going to read it off the top. I forgot. I'll come back to it quick because people asked about it. Again, we left the code up, by the way. So if you still haven't joined, use FGWC15. Gets you 15% off any monthly or annual plan. But right now you get Shiptimizer for free. So we did add MMA. So now you get PGA, MLB, MMA, NBA will be back next year and should have showdown mode as well, which we didn't have this year, but that'll be coming back around. NFL and NFL showdown. We already have PGA showdown built in through the PGA one, MMA, but just so people know what's coming with the full launch. Again, we'll have plenty of notice. We're going to give a heads up on Friday. We'll have even more details, but just to break it down, NASCAR Shiptimizer is coming. So that'll be here. PGA tee times on the optimizer will be here. Projections and everything showing up in the hand builder. So right now, when you go to hand build and you plug in what you want to look at, everyone's playing Sungjae and Rai. Right now, it just breaks down the salary only. It'll have the projections. It'll have the ownership. It'll have the clear all feature. And then shortly after that, sooner than later, we'll have more save features with it as well. But just want to make sure everybody knows that as we're designing it out. The MLB batting order will hop on to the MLB Shiptimizer. The MLB team stack upgrades where you can just pick your stacks and get the percentage of the stacks you want with the guys that you have turned on within it will be coming back. And then a lot of other stuff that's just getting worked on for the NFL season, but the NFL one is already more than geared up with the partnership that we have. So I think you're going to be loving what you see. There's going to be lots of deals, things like that coming out. But right now it is free. So you can go in, you can use the code FGWC15, gets you $33 a month, for example, for PGA only. You can lock in that. And for at least the next month, you'll get the Shiptimizer for free. So check that out and see what we got there. But anything else, Hoop, you wanted to cover when it comes to that?
No, excited for the full launch and to get this puppy going.
I don't know what this means. Adding scores for Showdown?
For Showdown? Maybe the current leaderboard scores. Maybe the
leaderboard scores. Yeah, that's on the list. That won't be in the first update. We're always transparent about everything to try and be as upfront as possible. I'm with you though, Brian. We want that one, and that is on the list. That's definitely a huge plus just to have that to know where everybody sits. But for now, won't be in on the first run, but that's kind of the list. I wanted to give you guys a full breakdown of what's coming and what's around the corner. I think that's going to do it for this one, though, guys. If you're not yet in the best ball streets, speaking of football, we do have the partnership with Drafters up and running again. So if you didn't get in on Drafters last year, you can go check that out. Our guy Title did a video last July, showing how he won the $250K the year before. Our guy Go Collect, who was with us in Detroit and was just in there, he was using Marley's best ball rankings and got in and got, I think it was $30K for first last year in the tournament that he was in. But you guys, they give a 50% deposit bonus up to $100 if you use the code SHIPIT or go to shipitnation.com/drafters. You get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. So just so you guys know, I wanted to get that out there. That's going to do it for this one, though, guys. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.